Wait, stop. That's the one. Welcome to ZEN TENN Speaks, a show where I make new friends and reconnect with old ones. A show where everyone's stories may inspire you to tell your own story. In this podcast, we encourage everyone to get rid of shame, guilt, fear, doubt, and judgments for themselves and for others, and replace those with love, empathy, compassion, understanding, kindness, and to do your best in everything that you do. In essence, to get rid of things that no longer serve your well-being. To be true to yourself and be honest with others. No need to be politically correct. That's out the window with 2020. Here, we tell the raw, uncensored story, your story, and tell the truth as you see it. Make sure you live your fulfilled life without permission or apologies. So, if you have a juicy, interesting, raw, unapologetic story and inspiring, please make sure to contact me at zentenn21@gmail.com. It is ZENTENN21@gmail.com. Or you can find me on most social media platforms. You know it. The IG, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, OnlyFans. I mean, not really. But yes, OnlyFans. Just kidding. Not. As you may guessed it, my name is Zen, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, today we have a guest. Our guest is Chandler Burton. Chandler is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And Chandler has a YouTube channel that is called Chandler Burton Entertainment, where he does reactions to music videos. And his goal is to help people who struggle with mental health issues like him. And Chandler is also a content creator, a songwriter, and a musician. So I've watched Chandler's content, and I'm very excited to have him on the show so he can tell us more about what he does and about his life. So welcome to the show, Chandler. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, definitely. So before I start, I've went on your page, and I want to say I got really inspired by the people who supports you doing your work. And I also got inspired by your work as well. When you're doing your work, it's like there's an energy that comes out of it, and that energy goes through the computer, and I can feel it. And I wanted to tell you that, and it's very inspiring that you're doing your thing and you're happy doing it. So thank you for sharing that to the world.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, music is one of those things where it definitely brings me joy, like I can't, like when I do certain songs or do certain reactions, there's just something about the music that just gets me in like this wonderful state of mind. So yeah, and I try to just, like everything that you see on screen or if you see me off screen, it's all genuine. Like I try to be the most genuine person that I can be. And I got a lot of cool people supporting me right now. A lot of cool friends I've met, like yourself and other people. Just some of my subscribers that I've met really have changed my life, and having conversations with them. It's just been a wonderful experience so far.
Nice. So tell us about who you are and what brings you joy.
For sure. Absolutely. So again, my name is Chandler Burton. I just turned 28 years old in September, so just newly 28. Yeah, I do, again, as you were saying, I do YouTube. I've been doing it now for about 6 months. And my goal with it is to really help people. I've always been a big advocate for mental health. It's one of those things where I like to joke around. I like to goof off. I like to have fun with people and joke with people. But that is one area of my life that I do take seriously. It's one of those things where if I see people struggle, I really want to just be there to lift them up and to help them, because I know exactly what that feels like, of feeling down and feeling sad. And the reason why I mainly started doing my YouTube channel was because, again, music was kind of like that voice for me when I needed it. When I would listen to music, I felt like it was a person talking to me saying, you know, you can do it, you can move on. And so what I like to do with my reactions that I do is I'll listen to the song, we'll do a deep dive into the lyrics, and I generally try to share a story about my life if I could find something to relate to people, because I've learned that when people can relate to you, you understand that you're not alone. And there's so many people, especially right now with the pandemic and everything, a lot of people are just sad, they're alone. You know, unfortunately, you know, the suicide rate has jumped up so high, and to me, one life is too many. So if I can make a YouTube video, share a story, and that hopefully uplifts people, I feel like I've done my job as a content creator. And I never want it to be about me. I just want to really help other people, because music has done that for me.
That's wonderful. And I love how I am someone who likes to fix things instead of complain. So
Yeah.
I love how you see something missing or even within you, and then you giving back in a sense. Instead of saying, oh, the world is blah, 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 you giving back and helping. I love that. I'm getting goosebumps.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't always used to be like that, but my perspective changed after my mission for my church, for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we can, of course, talk about that. But my perspective changed after that. No, when I was younger, I was like, oh, it's just not fair. Life is just terrible. But now that I've gotten older and I've gone through a lot of things, I'm able to help, you know, younger kids or younger people. Like if they're going through something, it's like, man, I could try to help you. We could try to get through this together. So life's worth living, man. You just got to find those things that help you. And I agree. Yeah. Just try to fix it into the best way possible for yourself. Yeah.
Right. And so I didn't have that as a question, but it will prompt me to ask that question. So
sure.
Do you remember Eminem?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So if you remember back in the early 2000s, probably, when they were trying to cancel him and they protest about him, and he made a song that says, maybe it was I Am Whatever I Say I Am, or maybe not. It was a song about how people were protesting him, and he was saying that, does music will make you, if you listen to my music, will it make you take a gun and shoot somebody like I'm talking in the music, or etc. So I think the big question of the day is, when it comes to content people are watching, do the content that you watch and listen to influence your actions? What do you think?
Good question. I would say yes. There's definitely, you know, a stigma about, and for those who don't know, the stuff that I react to is generally heavy metal, and I know a lot of people think heavy metal is of the devil, which I promise you, it's not, and that's just like the stigma that everyone
right.
But if you really, it's one of those things. Actually, when I was in high school, when I first started getting into it, like I was a big fan of like Metallica. I got into Slipknot, Pantera, those types of things, and I really enjoyed it. And then I had a buddy of mine show me some heavier stuff, and I was like, I'm not really a fan of the constant screaming, but it's like, dude, just take a look at these lyrics. And then it's when I read through the lyrics is when I realized, I was like, wow, it's amazing. Like all these people struggle like I do, and they're literally getting it out in the most healthy way possible. And so that's how I've always kind of seen it. Yes, I mean, there's always going to be those people saying the music you listen to or the music that you make is terrible. It yells, it's not uplifting. But for me, it's just like with any genre of music, I just relate to it. Some people like R&B, some people like pop, and if they can relate to it, I think that's great. For me, I just like heavy music, and I will always try and write the best lyrics, or you know, try to be the best person I could be. And obviously there's bands in the genre that aren't very, you know, they're party bands and stuff, and I don't listen to those. But I think, you know, I think for me, like if you really just read the lyrics and just gave it a shot, you probably realize it's really not that bad. And that's why I always try to break down the lyrics at the end, because again, I understand it does yell and it is hard to understand sometimes. So I'll take a part of the song that I like and I'll kind of relate it to myself, and hopefully that'll help, you know, somebody else.
Right. And lyrics definitely have either hidden messages or poems or hymns in there that if you actually pay attention to, or even you read it, you will get the message through it. I guess growing up, because by the way, I grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And so we're not allowed to do anything that's non-Jehovah's Witness. So when I left the Church of Jehovah's Witness, I started listening to lyrics literally. And I've noticed a lot of lyrics, especially in the 90s, they were positive lyrics. Like Aaliyah will sing about pick yourself up and try again. Or there's like so many other rappers. Like rap was supposed to be bad, but a lot of raps back in the day, I don't know about now because I stopped listening to raps altogether because it's all about WAP now.
Yeah. It's so is like, that's what I mean, man. Like that kind of music I don't like, but you're totally right. That's all what it is nowadays.
Yeah. Back in the day, it was positive messaging, but I guess because it was rap, I was not allowed to listen to it. But then I got into Eminem because as of most of us, we wear a mask because we have to wear a mask so we can live through life, and we change it up, depends who we interact with or where we are, etc. And so I liked Eminem because from what I was perceiving, from what I was getting from him, he was pretty raw. And I'm a pretty raw person. I love honesty and I hate BS. And that's why I so much got into him. And well, I have a lot of favorite songs of his that I like. But one of the one that says, I am whatever you say I am, something like that. And so when people would say things about me that I know are not true, and instead of fighting with people, I usually tell people, whatever you think about me, you are right, because you have your own perception of me. And if you actually don't want to spend the time to get to know me, of course, you're going to have that opposite perception that I know that's not true. So that's why I love that song, definitely. Or another song that says, was a real Eminem, Slim Shady, please stand up, etc. And of course, there are some of his songs that are violent and not cool. But I think when it comes to heavy metal, or most artists, definitely, they have a message. And the message is usually about their life and their struggles. And depending who's listening to it, you can either get inspired to be better or do better, or you might get inspired to get the chicks and the money in the wrong way too, kind of a thing. And so, and some songs teach about killing people and shooting people. And if that's what you heard and you want to do, I think it's like self-accountability, because a lot of people say, well, the song made me do it and the movie made me do it. And I'm like, I get it, but where's your self-accountability? Like, you cannot.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny. I like that you brought that up, because I remember when going to movies here, I'm a big movie guy too. I don't have a channel based on movies or anything, but I love movies. And I remember actually when the Joker came out back with Joaquin Phoenix, and everybody was so worried that there were going to be like these mass shootings and like everyone's going to like going to be torn apart by it. But I was like, look, if I'm just going to be honest, like, I'm here just to be entertained. Like, I love Batman. I love that universe. So I'm here just to be entertained. And I thought that movie did a good job of showing what mental health can do to somebody. But I was just blown away that people were thinking, like, after I see this movie, I'm going to be like the Joker. And I'm like, I'm literally going just because I like comic books. And it's not going to make me go do those certain things. Or same with music. Like, if music uplifts me, then I'll apply that to my life. But I would never, like, if I hear songs about killing somebody or like violating women or anything like that, I would never act upon that. I mean, I like how you brought that up. Like, where's your self-accountability? For sure. Like, you're your own person. You can make choices. Like, hopefully it's good choices. But I can see that as well, where it can definitely influence somebody, but you got to be the stronger person and do the right thing.
Right, definitely. And I think a big theme with Mormonism is about agency, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. we all have our free agency to do what we choose to do in this life. Yeah.
Right. And so when people tend to, I do understand, I like to apply empathy. I do understand what they mean about something influenced them. But I often say there are so many good things in life. I personally believe there are far more good people and good things in this life. Personally, that's my perception. So therefore, why don't you choose those things? You're gonna
Yeah,
make it
yeah,
confused with the
yeah, to
other.
make you happy. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And speaking of music, one of the reasons that I started a channel myself and I started singing is because I've gone through something personal in my life.
Mhm.
And as you like add Adele and other people like Christina Aguilera, like some of her music about breaking up and heartbreaking, or even Britney Spears about like leave me alone, or Michael Jackson. It's like these people
Sure.
sing about what's going on in their lives, and maybe you can relate. And that's how I started singing as well. And I have a new song that's coming out tomorrow, and it's about trauma bonding, because I had to learn a lot about psychology, and I listened to a lot of this psychologist called Dr. Ramani on YouTube, and she talks
Okay.
about a lot about trauma bonding, and people confuse falling in love with trauma bonding. And that was a big eye
Yeah.
opener for me. So I made a song about that. So we'll see. I love it, but we'll see what the public thinks.
I'm excited to
So
check it out. I'm really excited actually. If it's dropping tomorrow, yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out for sure. Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're
So
welcome.
yeah,
Yeah.
so definitely like singing is maybe not for everybody, but if you're an artist and you like to do is example me, I write things about what I went through and what inspires me and what I'm thinking about. And of course, there's other people, like you're saying, you're not alone, that we tend to think that our issues and our happiness is us only, but a lot of people share the same or similar situations. And so it
Yeah.
is really important to know that, because YouTube is a big place, just like you have your channel and other people will go in there. And of course they have, because I've seen it, they make comments or even watch it and they subscribe. And if you did not have that source for someone to go to, then they probably would not have that. If everyone like you, a content creator, did not have that, then someone would definitely feel alone, because they'll stay in their
Yeah.
homes and be like, where do I go? And YouTube is a big place to go to for people like you who has a content out there, and that's very important service to the
Yeah.
world.
Definitely. I would say so. Yeah. And again, I'm grateful. I thank God every day for the opportunity to do this channel, because not only is it something nice to wake up to and do, like I wake up, I enjoy it, but I also get to see like how many people I mean, I've met so many cool people through doing YouTube. I had a buddy of mine, now one of my really good friends. Never met him in person, just like met him through comments and stuff. And he told me that the content, like when he's like, you've changed my perspective of how I see life. And I'm so grateful for that. Not that I'm trying to show off, but I'm grateful that he has an opportunity to want to start over again. And
Mm.
going back what you said about lyrics, yeah, I definitely can relate to that. I am working on new music with a buddy of mine, and I always write lyrics from the heart. It's always written about like what I've seen somebody go through, or myself personally. Like I don't ever, swear in music. I always just want to portray a message of like hope for those who like the heavy genre of music. And so I like what you were saying there about that, about the lyrics. We can just really relate to it. And again, helping people is like all I want to do. Like that's the most important thing to me, is that somebody can wake up, understand like today may be hard, but my life's worth it. And you're right, we're not alone. And I had to make that realization a couple of years ago. Like I'm not alone, and I shouldn't be afraid of who I am as a person. Like I am loved for who I am, and I do struggle, but life is worth living. We don't want to cheat our way to the finish line, for sure.
Right. So in the chat that prior to this conversation, you mentioned to me that you have a hard time finding joy in your life. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely, I can. So I remember, it was one of those things that, and obviously my perspective changes all the time. Sometimes there are days where I wake up, and again, YouTube helps, and then there's some days where I feel empty and I feel alone. And I started to notice that when the things that I enjoyed doing didn't bring me joy anymore. Like, for example, like I love playing video games in my downtime. And I remember playing some games, like, I just don't feel happy doing this. So I put that away. And then I was like, maybe I'll go on a walk. And even that, I was like, I just don't feel anything from it. And then all these things I used to love doing, I was like, I just felt so numb to, um, feel just sad. Like the things that I love weren't bringing me joy. And that happened for a long time. And, there's so many other things in life, that we all go through. Like, obviously, I'm single right now. I don't have a girlfriend right now. And you see all your friends married and doing those things. And it's like, I would like to have that one day. And I think that is a big part of it, where you're like, I kind of worry about myself. Like, am I doing something wrong? Or is it me as a person? So, and it's one of those things where I try to tell myself, like, I got to keep going. I got to keep pushing, even on the dark days. And again, I've had some dark days where it's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm going to literally give up. And, and one thing I always tell people who struggle like I do is that the one thing that's really helped me, like, even if you're not religious, even if you're not anything like that at all, I'd say, honestly, like, time really does help. Like, just having that time to reflect on yourself and having that time to really understand who you are. I started, instead of songwriting, I started doing a journal, and I told myself, I was like, I'm going to write down everything, even if it's like depressing and sad. Like, I want to be able to look back on that one day and be like, you know what, I was able to power through that. So when I'm having a hard day, I can read it again. It's like, I was able to do that like a month ago. Yeah, exactly. And then the songs that I write are the same thing. Maybe you can relate to the songs that I write. They're kind of like little yearbooks in a way too, where it's like I can read. It's like I remember exactly what I was going through when I was writing that song, or I know how I was feeling. I know what, if I was writing about somebody else, I know what they were going through. I'm going to check in on them. Mm-hmm. And so the things that bring me joy, they do help. But I mean, again, it's hard to find joy when there is a chemical imbalance and there is, a lot of sadness in the world, obviously what we're going through. But I still each day try to find something that'll help me, whether it's helping another person through a YouTube channel or helping someone in real life. I've noticed, like, providing service has really helped me to find joy. So I think being joyful and helping people, I think, has really brought me joy. But yeah, some of the things I used to do just don't really make me as happy anymore. So I had to find new things to kind of fill that void of not feeling sad like I do a lot of the time.
How have you coped with depression and anxiety besides trying new things to fill the void? Have you done other things?
That's a great question. I think the hardest thing, so I always tell people this in my YouTube videos as well, and no matter what they're struggling with, whether it's, drugs, alcohol, pornography, any kind of certain addictions that they have, the best thing to do for yourself is just tell somebody. And quick side story, when I knew I struggled with depression, as I think I told you, like in 8th grade. I knew something was going on. I didn't know what it was. I was pretty young. I was like 13, 14. I thought I was just a, hormonal teenage kid, just mad at everything. And, but as I got older, that feeling never really went away. And I was like, I just feel sad. And my mom would always ask me how I'm doing. And I always would lie to her. I'd be like, oh, I'm fine. And she knew something was up. Like, I just couldn't tell her. And then pretty much after I had my heart broken by this girl who I really liked, that's when my whole world kind of shattered. I went to her room and I told her, like, this happened, and I got on my knees and I just started crying. And I finally told her, I was like, Mom, something's wrong. I'm sad all the time. And that really actually helps. I was worried of what my mom would think of me as a person. I was like, I don't want her to worry about me. I don't want her to think that, I'm sad all the time. But she hasn't changed at all. I mean, she's a lovely lady and she loves me for who I am. And that made me realize, I was like, you know what? I think the best thing that people can do is just be open about it. Whether, if you're not close to your parents, hopefully you have a friend that can do that, or maybe an aunt, uncle, cousin, just to tell somebody, because that burden, while it may not ever fully go away, it's going to be relieved that you can finally just share that with somebody. And so that's why I always say in my videos, like, the hardest thing is going to be worth it. Like, the easy things, yeah, we can do those right away. But if you want something in life, then you got to work for it. If you want to be better mentally or anything, you just have to take that step, tell somebody, and you're going to feel better. And you telling somebody will prove to them that you want to get help. It will prove to them like he wants to get better, and we're going to help him. And I think that's the best thing that anybody can do is, again, just tell someone you're close to, tell a really good friend, family member, because after you do that, the journey is going to get a lot easier. So that's another thing that I've done, is just be very open with people about it. And again, I've actually had a lot of friends tell me like, you know what, Chandler, because you've opened up about this, I got to be honest, I've been depressed for years. And I'm like, I appreciate you telling me. And it's okay. It's okay that you feel this way. You're not alone. So I think that's been a really, really big thing. It's just tell somebody.
Wow, that's very important. I knew that in my head, but I didn't know it with words as you mentioned it. You either can tell a stranger or someone close to you or a therapist or a journal or making YouTube videos. There's so many ways to get it off your chest, or even talking by yourself. Because I live in New York City, a lot of people talk by themselves, and if you're listening to their stories, it's crazy ass stories.
Yeah.
They're venting. It's like a computer has this heat it needs to release, or a light bulb or anything. And as us humans, we need to vent. And that's so important. And wow, I had some types of relationships last year where people, because I'm someone where anyone can come and talk to me and they'll tell me all these things. And as I mentioned to you with the DM stuff, people will come to me and tell me all sorts of things. And I'm very open to it. But lately I'm still busy and I just cannot, I don't have the bandwidth for other people's stuff anymore because I have to like do my own.
Yeah, exactly.
But the person, so when I fell in love or had trauma bond, so he would tell me the craziest stuff. So I often was thinking, I was just like, is it, because I know who I am and how people usually come to me and tell me their darkest secrets, strangers or even friends, because I don't judge them and I don't condemn them or witch hunt them and I don't cancel them for it because they're humans.
Yeah.
And this person I met, he would tell me the craziest thing when we first met. And so I was thinking, is he trying to test me to see how much crazy can he tell me until I reject him? Or is he really confining me so much that he's telling me stuff? And he would tell me how he would rob people and how he was also a skinhead. And he right.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, wow. Like crazy
what
stuff.
A story.
But yeah, like his story would be so raw and personal, and a lot of times when he would tell me, he would not make eye contact, and when he does, he would look like a sad puppy, like he would do this, and kind of like his look is looking for approval, and he's looking for forgiveness because I'm Black, and I'm like, and then we had great conversations, and I was just like, you know, whatever happens in your past, it's your past, and obviously you want to be different now, and even if you felt the same way, I am not God on earth to condemn you. I strongly believe that myself. Like, I may not like what someone does, but I will not witch hunt them, and I will not cancel them, and I would not tell them they're wrong, because first of all, if you're doing something wrong, you know in your heart, and God is talking to you anyway, so you know it. So you don't need me to do that for you. And if you need me to do that for you, maybe you need someone that can inspire you, that can help you, and I can do the helping part, but I will not be a judge, executioner, and jury. Like, it's too much. It's too much. I cannot do it, and I won't do that.
Exactly.
And so, and him venting, and which that got us very close together too. And that's a crazy story, but So venting and telling someone is very important, because as he tell me, like, I'm the first person and only person he could tell those things, not even his friends and family or his other Black friends.
Right. So, for sure.
And that happened last year too, in 2020. And when you know what happened in 2020. So
of course,
he felt safe around me to tell me those things. And I know who I am too. Like, people feel safe around me, and they can confide in me, telling me their stories. So it felt good that someone could talk to me and that they could feel safe, that I wouldn't say, hey, you're a bad person and you're racist and you're Nazi and da da da.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I had empathy and compassion because he's a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I love that. I love what you were saying there. Like, yeah, everyone has a past. Like, no one's perfect. Like, and I agree. Like, you know, you have a good vibe about you. I can see why people would want to come to you and like talk to you. And you seem very nice, very chill, and I love that. And I think it's really cool. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean that sincerely. And I think it's cool that they were able to come to you and talk to you about those kind of things, and you weren't able to judge them. Because we have so many people nowadays that are the first thing want to do is judge. And I think that's why, again, going back to what I was saying about telling somebody, I think a lot of people have a hard time sharing things because they're afraid that, like, I did something and I need to tell somebody, but if they judge me, I'm going to be back at square one. So it's always good to, like, it's always just a simple quote, like, just be nice to, well, it's not really a quote, but just be nice to everybody, because everybody's story is so different, and they're so, everybody's going to go through something in their life, whether it's like depression, we all go through heartbreak, and we all go through different things. Like, just be nice, because you do not know what that person is going through on that particular day. Like, you could be the one to accidentally push them over the edge, and that would be that'd be a horrible feeling. Or you could be that one guy that'd be like, how you doing? And you could totally change their day. So you have a choice, as we were talking about earlier, agency and making choices. You can make that choice, and it could honestly save somebody's life.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. Even at the cashier, especially because of 2020, I've done it more and more now. I tell them, thank you for working today. I
have too.
Being here. And they get shocked. They're like, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
They're not used to it. And it's so sad they're not used to it. But I can tell they feel appreciated, because people would say, well, I pay you for your service. I don't need to say thank you. I don't need to give gratitude.
Exactly.
And I'm like, they're not a robot. Like, they're another human being. Like, come on, people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I love that you do that. I do that too. I always tell people, like, I was actually in the hospital about a month ago for my back, and I just kept telling every nurse, every doctor, like, thank you for doing this, because I mean, I know obviously with everything going on, and you guys are so busy, and you guys are working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. I'm just like, the least I can do is say, like, thank you for helping me in my time of need. Like, yeah, I agree. Grocery store, movie theater, wherever you go, tell people, like, thank you for serving me. Like, sincerely, I really appreciate it, no matter what they're doing.
Definitely, because they don't have to. They're getting paid, but they still don't have to do it. So exactly. Do you know what has caused your depression and anxiety?
It's funny. I would think about that a lot. And, when I was younger, I was kind of like, a lot of people tell me that a lot of people seem to like me, but I personally, I felt like I didn't really fit in anywhere. Like, I got made fun of. I had really bad acne. I was really chubby when I was younger, being like one of the only black kids in school. I heard all the black jokes, and that kind of got to me a little bit. But I think as I've gotten older, I think what it is like, I just feel like I'm not achieving what I thought I was going to achieve when I was younger. Doing YouTube now has really helped, but it's like, being 28 and you're still trying to figure out like what you want to do, it kind of does take a toll on you. And obviously a lot of people are like, like, just do it. But it's like, because of my depression, it's hard for me to go out and to do those things. Like, I could have really good days. And obviously I take citalopram, I take hydroxyzine for depression and anxiety. That does help. And that's another thing. I hope people don't feel ashamed about taking medication. I was for years. And now that I've been taking it, it definitely has changed. It has helped a lot. So, but I would say probably not fulfilling what I've always wanted to do. Like, when I was younger, I thought I'd be like done with school and like making movies or making music. And essentially I'm kind of doing that now. Like, I enjoy what I do, but it's just like, I'm one of those guys where I like to compare myself to other people. And I hate doing that. I absolutely hate it, where it's like, man, I wish I could have what they have. But then I realized, like, everybody takes their own pace. Everyone is different. And so I would say, like, it kind of just comes and goes. And probably not fulfilling like what I've always wanted to do. Obviously, I'm making some changes now in my life, which have been really good for me. But I would say not fulfilling or being the person I wanted to be when I was younger, I think is a big thing for sure. Like nothing ever happened to me as a kid. I have very wonderful parents. I was never no one ever hurt me like physically or emotionally, anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of I guess not fulfilling my potential at my age now because I'm going to be 30 in 2 years, and I'm just like it's crazy, how fast time goes. So that's probably the big reason I would say. Yeah,
I'm gonna be 40 next year.
Are you? Oh man, you look good, man. I honestly like when we first started talking, I
I'm dead.
For real, when we started talking, I was like, man, he's got to be at least in his late 20s. So I mean, good on you, man. Looking fresh,
Nothing
man.
I've done for it. Like, I mean, thank you, I appreciate it, but it's like
much love, man.
That. The only thing I actually done anything on is working through my traumas in my character.
Yeah.
Like my physiques, well, of course I exercise, but like beside that, it's just like I'm just grateful, I guess. But another thing too, as you also know, beauty lies within your heart on the inside. True beauty anyway. And that's the one that lasts. So yeah, I'm grateful. It's like, of course, we have the tangible world and we have eyes to see. We appreciate beauty around us, but we know the rose will fade by sunset or things like that. So we know it's not lasting long. But when you're talking about your coping mechanism with the depression, last year and trickled down into this year was the first time that I've experienced depression.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's my first time, it was very confusing. And it was so intense. It felt like I was dead, but I was alive watching me dead.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's the only way I can explain it. Like you've gone through it for a long time, so you probably you're tough. You are
Thanks,
tough.
man.
Like
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Because dude, like I've had suicide thoughts in the past, and I'm glad I didn't have any last year. And if I did, I don't know how I would cope. Right. It was tough. And when I find out it was depression months later, by the way, it lasts like a whole 10 months. And so,
wow. Yeah.
And when I found out it was depression, I was like, oh my God, this is what people have been talking about. And that's another thing. They say you don't know someone's shoes until you try it, or you don't know what something is like until you cross that bridge. And I crossed that bridge of depression. It was, dude, I never want to do that again. I mean, it wasn't a choice either. Like me personally, and not for anybody, but when I believe that it's kind of like, it's something that you fall into, like they say, you fall into depression. And I believe for myself, at least, it was up to me to like find an opening and crawl myself out of it. Yeah. I feel like crawling yourself out is a self thing, but falling into is just a trap that is there. You don't see it and you just fall into it. And then you have to be like, WTF, where am I? What's going on? And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that happened because I fell in trauma bond with somebody. And then later on, when you know what happens, you fall in love, baby carriage, and then breaking up. It was yeah, and you did that. And so I feel you on the depression part.
Definitely.
Wow. So have you sought any therapy?
I've had therapy before. Definitely has helped. And and again, I think that's another stigma with people like, I don't want to go to therapy. It's like, look, like just because you have to do it doesn't mean you're a failure as a person. If anything, as I said before, it proves that you want to get help. I mean, I went to therapy on my mission for my church. And obviously when you're a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you're supposed to be happy sharing about God and Jesus Christ. And I was so depressed. Like I had to go like 3 times a week, and that would be like the majority of our day because like we'd have to drive to go somewhere. It would take an hour to get there, 2 hours to get back. And I mean, that's a good chunk of our day. And so I would do that 3 times a week. And it just felt weird being on a mission trying to teach about God, but I'm sad all the time. Like, why am I feeling this way? And I've learned a lot of lots of techniques, lots of life lessons that again that I've applied to myself. Like honestly, one of the things that has helped me a lot that my therapist taught me was make sure you're getting enough sleep. Like I didn't realize like wow, my sleeping pattern is terrible. So now I have a sleep pattern. I sleep 8 hours a night. I go to bed around 9:30, 10:30, wake up 6:30, 7, and I get up and I go on a walk. And to me, like and this is just stuff that everyone's so different. You know, obviously I'm not saying do what I do, but this is what's really helped me is I get up early. I love walking in the morning because it's quiet. There's not a lot of cars. There's you just hear like the birds outside, you're just outside and taking in that fresh air. You're like, wow, like this where we live on a beautiful planet if we're willing to take a look. So many things that I do. And then also another thing is eating better. I've realized eating healthier or eating less portions of what I make has really made a difference. Instead of like eating just a bunch of junk food or fast food, like taking the time to to make something, and you feel so much better. And occasionally I splurge. I feel like we all deserve that, but it's like it's amazing by sleeping like 30 minutes of exercise and like eating better, walking, like it just makes you feel better. It's like I always tell people like those little things really do add up to make a difference. And that's just those little things alone has really helped me from advice from my therapist. And it's just wonderful. And I still keep that to this day. And it really does help me when I'm feeling down.
Nice. And it's good that you brought up the question of you are on a mission and you part of a church, shouldn't you be happy? Because I had that question for you. Like, was your therapy a church therapist or from outside of church?
Good. That's a good question because a lot of people have asked me that as well. So to answer the question too, I haven't been to a therapist in a while just because I'm working on getting new insurance. So I will be going back just to have like checkups. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But once I get my insurance again, hopefully next week, I'll be setting up a time to go see a therapist and just see, how things are doing. But so when I was on my mission, they do have counseling through the church. So I was able to get it for free, which was really nice. But what's really cool is that a lot of people will have, again, the thought of like, oh, they're just going to tell you to pray, read out the Book of Mormon and do those things, which they do help. But I think the counselor I had really understood, like, this guy's really struggling with something. So we really need to make sure that we not focus on the church stuff and focus on like what he needs to function and to be out here. Because I mean, you're gone for 2 years. You don't get to talk to your family. Sometimes you're always with your companions. Sometimes you may not like them. Luckily, I liked most of my companions. And sometimes it just hits you. Sometimes you just miss home. Sometimes you miss what you did. Sometimes you're just missing those things in life. And I think that's normal. I mean, obviously, you're out doing this for 2 years. It is a long time. Very great accomplishment, but it is a long time. So it was through the church, but the guy that I had, he really was able to, he like understand, like, look, we're not going to talk about church stuff. We're going to talk about stuff to help your mind focus and help you get into a right state of mind. Because like you can't teach the gospel in the wrong state of mind. Like you need to be, we got to make sure you're okay. So he did a really good job of helping me like understand, like, obviously what you're doing is great, but God wants you to focus on this right now. And so, it was through the church, but it was still like an actual counseling session. Like we didn't talk about anything religious. And even though he was a member of the church as well, we kept it to just like helping me, relaxing, and pushing forward. So, but it was through the church, but we didn't talk about any of that stuff during our sessions.
That's great that you had someone that you liked and that totally worked for you, because you can definitely get the people who doesn't match you, let's say. And then they don't help, because I've talked to some people and they said they've had counseling through their church and those people were not real therapists. So they were focusing on the church part, which is nice because you're part of the church. Definitely. But then they're not focusing on the science part because we're also science.
We are. Absolutely we are.
So and that's really important. And so the next question would be, is it something that that has gotten better, or are you still struggling through it? Or do you think there will be an end of it through something you do? Like, as in, like, will it be curable through something that you know you can do that can cure it, or managing it better?
Great question. I've actually, so going back to what I said, like getting up and going walking, I have, like, again, I like to joke around with people. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. But when I'm by myself and when I go walking in the morning, it's when I have my really deep just thoughts. And I've thought about that. I thought about, is this ever going to go away? And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to. But I did try to see a positive side of it. And the way I see it is, obviously not everybody's going to go through this. Not everybody's ever going to be open about what they struggle with. And again, this is no way of me saying like I'm the best or like I've given this gift, but I do feel like God's put me in a position in my life where I can take what I have and I can turn it into a blessing. And I can take those things and I can help those who want to feel better about themselves. And so I'm trying to take a negative and turn it into a positive, because I like to, again, I am working on music, but I would like to finish up school and possibly go into motivational speaking, like talk to youth and help kids who are struggling. I think it'd not only be fun, I think it'd just be really cool to like relate to kids, like, you know, like, because I know so many kids now that are struggling and they're like, again, the same age I was when I went through this. I'm like, you guys should be enjoying your life. You should be having fun. You should be going outside to play movies. Like, they just feel like they can't. And so to answer that question again, I don't think it will, but honestly, like, I think it's going to help people, you know, down the road. Obviously I'm going to do everything I can to prevent it. Obviously I would not ever want to live with it if I have the choice, but no, I'm still going to take my medication. I'm still going to go walking. I'm going to go see a counselor again once I have insurance. And I'm just going to do all those things that I'm supposed to do. Try to be a good example for those who feel like they're lost. And again, dude, suicide gets, they're getting younger and younger. And it's so scary. I'm like, poor kids, like feel like they have no other way out. They feel like because they're bullied or they have a bad home life or something happened to them when they were younger, they just can't handle it. And it breaks my heart that these young kids, not barely a teenager, are wanting to take their life or they're thinking about it. I'm like, again, that's a lot that should never be on their mind, anybody's mind, really. So again, that kind of what fuels me to keep going, is like, I don't want kids are going through that. And yeah, it breaks my heart, because again, that's not what anybody should be thinking about. I think, you know, as I said, kids should be outside playing, having fun, but they're just, you know, they're just scared and they don't know. And some kids don't like going to school. And I was never a big school guy. Like, I just didn't like it, but it's like, I would want kids to enjoy it. I mean, it's just like a job. They're going to spend a ton of their time there. Might as well make friends and stuff. And sometimes they feel like they can't have that, so they just take their own life. And it just breaks my heart. It really does. Every time I see it on the news or online, I'm just like, what more could we have done to help them, you know? And if I'm able to share my story, again, talk about a chain reaction, I would share my story, they could share it with somebody else and pass it onward, and just hopefully just make the world a better place. So I hope one day that I can share my story, someone will pass that along, share their story, and just, you know, keep going. I think that's really important. So I'm going to, again, it hasn't gone away, but I'm going to look at it as a positive to help other